I am Jessica, and never in my life did I think I would experience something that would change everything forever. But today, I sit here writing these words because I can no longer stay silent. I died. I crossed the boundary between life and death, and what I saw on the other side shattered everything I had ever believed. But before I continue to read this dream of revelation, I will ask you if you have any testimony that you would like to share with us and our viewers. You can do so by sending us your testimony through this email address, eternalbiblestories@gmail.com. You can find this email address at the bottom of the screen in this video. Share your dreams, visions, and near-death experiences with us to change someone's life for the better. Please write them well so they can be readable to our audience. Thank you. It started as just another ordinary day. I woke up to the sound of my alarm, stretched, and went about my usual morning routine. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled my kitchen as I took a slow sip, preparing myself for another day at work. Everything felt normal, mundane, even. At least, that's what I thought. But something was different. There was an unshakable feeling in the air, a strange energy lingering around me, almost like the world itself was trying to whisper something. A warning, perhaps, but I was too distracted to listen. My mind was tangled in the usual worries, bills, deadlines, responsibilities. The weight of life pressed on my shoulders as I grabbed my keys, stepped into my car, and drove off, unaware that within moments, everything would change forever. The morning traffic was as it always was, cars lined up, people rushing, the city buzzing with its daily rhythm. I barely noticed any of it. My thoughts were elsewhere, drifting between my to-do list and the endless cycle of concerns that never seemed to ease. Then suddenly, it happened. A sharp, excruciating pain tore through my chest. It was as if an invisible hand had reached inside me and squeezed with unimaginable force. My breath caught in my throat. My vision blurred. The world around me slowed into an eerie, unnatural pace. The sounds of honking cars and distant chatter faded, replaced by the deafening roar of my own heartbeat. I tried to hold on to the wheel, to steady myself, but it was too late. The pain intensified. My arms went numb. The last thing I heard was the shriek of tires against asphalt, the violent crunch of metal against metal, and then darkness. But I was still aware. I could feel myself being pulled, but not in a physical sense. It was as if I had shed my body like an old garment. What remained of me was something weightless, something untethered. I looked down and saw myself lying motionless on the pavement, my car mangled beyond recognition. Sirens blared in the distance. A crowd gathered. Strangers hovered over me, their faces painted with shock and urgency. Yet, I felt no pain, no fear, no panic, only an overwhelming sense of calm. I was rising. Something was pulling me upward, an invisible force drawing me away from the chaos below. I didn't resist. I couldn't. It was effortless, natural, like floating on a gentle current. The higher I ascended, the less I cared about the scene unfolding beneath me. My worries, my way. Then, I saw it. A light. But this wasn't like any light I had ever seen before. It wasn't harsh or blinding. It was alive, warm, embracing, full of an unspoken promise. It wasn't just illuminating my surroundings. It was reaching into me, filling every part of my being with peace. It felt like home, like love itself had taken form and was calling me forward. I surrendered to it, moving effortlessly toward its glow, deeper and deeper into its embrace. The further I went, the more the world I had known faded behind me. No more sirens, no more voices, no more thoughts of my past life. And then I saw him, at the end of the light, standing in quiet majesty, Jesus. I knew it was him instantly. He didn't need to introduce himself. His presence alone spoke louder than words ever could. He radiated light, not just around him, but from within him. It wasn't just something he carried. It was who he was. And when his eyes met mine, something beyond words passed between us. In that single gaze, my entire life unraveled before me. Every moment, every choice, every triumph and failure played out in perfect clarity. Yet, there was no condemnation in his eyes, no disappointment, only love, deep, unconditional love. You are not here by accident, Jessica. His voice was unlike anything I had ever heard, both a whisper and a thunderous echo at the same time. It wasn't just sound, it was truth, resonating in the depths of my soul. I wanted to ask him why I was here, what this meant, if I was dead. But before I could form the words, he lifted his hand, and in an instant, everything around me changed. I woke up in the hospital, but something inside me had changed. I was alive, but I wasn't the same Jessica who had left that morning. The moment my eyes opened, I could feel it, like a veil had been lifted, and I was seeing the world with different eyes. The air felt heavier. The fluorescent hospital lights were too bright. The voices of doctors and nurses sounded distant, like echoes from another reality. I was back in the land of the living, but part of me still belonged to the other side. My family rushed to my bedside, their faces streaked with tears. They held my hands, whispering prayers of gratitude that I had survived, but I barely heard them. My mind was still in that place, still replaying everything I had seen. Jesus, the light, the truth he had revealed to me. I tried to tell them. At first, I struggled to find the words. How could I possibly explain something so immense? But I had to try. So, with all the conviction in my soul, I told them about the tunnel, about standing before Jesus, about what he had shown me, the hidden truth about Black people, their divine connection, and the centuries of deception meant to keep them from knowing who they truly were. They listened, but I could see the hesitation in their eyes, the doubt, the silent exchange of glances between them. My sister squeezed my hand gently and said, "You were in a terrible accident, Jess. Maybe your mind just—" "No," I interrupted, my voice firm. "It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a hallucination. It was real." But they didn't believe me. Not really. I tried again with my friends, desperate to make someone understand. But the reactions were always the same: polite smiles, awkward silences, dismissive comments about trauma-induced visions. Even the people from my church were hesitant. "Be careful, Jessica," one of them warned. "These kinds of experiences can be misleading. Maybe it wasn't really Jesus you saw." I was stunned. These were people who had spent their entire lives preaching about faith, about the supernatural, about God revealing himself. But when faced with an actual testimony of divine truth, they rejected it. Still, I refused to give up. I turned to the internet. hoping that somewhere, someone would listen. I posted about my experience. I shared what Jesus had shown me. I poured my heart into spreading the message. Then my posts started disappearing, one by one. They were deleted without explanation. My account was flagged for violating guidelines. Then it was locked entirely. I made another account. It happened again, and that was just the beginning. At first, I tried to convince myself it was all just a coincidence. Glitches, bad luck, things that could be explained logically. But the more I tried to share my story, the stranger things became. Documents related to my experience vanished from my computer. Files I had saved the night before would be gone by morning. My phone would shut off randomly, always when I was writing or recording something about my NDE. I started getting strange calls. No caller ID. When I answered, there was only silence. Sometimes, I could hear breathing, slow, heavy, unnatural. Then, the shadow came. It was late at night. I had been writing in my living room, determined to get my story out despite everything. The only light in the room came from my laptop screen. The air felt still, too still, as if the entire apartment was holding its breath. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. A shadow. It flickered across the wall, just for a second. But it wasn't the shadow of something in the room. It moved differently, independently, like it had a presence of its own. I turned sharply. My heart pounded in my chest. There was nothing there, but the feeling remained. A thick, suffocating presence. Something unseen, watching. Then I heard it. A voice. Not from outside. Not from my phone. Not from any source I could see. It spoke from within my very soul. A whisper, but filled with power. Keep speaking. My breath caught. My hands trembled. And in that moment, I understood. I wasn't just sharing a story. I wasn't just recounting an experience. I was stepping into something far greater, something far more dangerous. This wasn't just about telling the truth. This was war. It became clear to me then. This was more than just resistance from people who didn't believe me. Something else was working against me. Something powerful. Something that didn't want this truth to be known. I had read about spiritual warfare before, but now I was living it. The forces that had spent centuries silencing, erasing, and distorting the truth weren't just human. They were spiritual. And now that the truth was beginning to surface, they were fighting harder than ever to keep it buried. But I had already made my choice. Jesus had shown me this revelation for a reason. He had chosen me to see, to know, to tell, and if I backed down now, I wouldn't just be failing myself, I would be failing him. So I took a deep breath, steadied my shaking hands, and went back to writing. Because no matter what happened next, I would not be silenced. The battle had begun, and I was ready. One night, as I knelt in prayer, asking for guidance, something happened. It wasn't a dream, nor was it like any vision I had ever experienced before. It was as if my spirit had been lifted from my body and pulled into another realm. A space beyond time and reality, where past, present, and future converged. I had no control over where I was going, but I knew one thing. I was being shown something of great importance. At first, everything was quiet. Then, like a tidal wave crashing onto the shore, chaos erupted before my eyes. I saw the world as it is now. Cities filled with life, people going about their daily routines, unaware of what was coming. And then, The shaking began. It was subtle at first, like a distant tremor beneath the earth. But within moments, the tremors turned into violent quakes, tearing through the foundations of the world. I saw entire cities collapse. Skyscrapers that once touched the clouds crumbled like sandcastles. Rivers and oceans swelled beyond their borders, swallowing towns whole. Fires raged across forests, consuming everything in their path. It was as if the earth itself was crying out, purging the darkness that had been festering for centuries. The streets were filled with screams. People ran in every direction, searching for safety, but there was none to be found. I saw faces twisted in terror, eyes filled with the kind of desperation that only comes when every illusion of security has been shattered. Leaders of nations stood frozen, powerless to stop what was happening. Technology failed. Governments fell. The world as we knew it was crumbling, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. I turned to Jesus, my heart pounding, my mind racing with questions. Why is this happening? I cried out, desperate for an answer. He looked at me, his eyes filled with sorrow, but also with unshakable resolve. The world must be shaken before it can be restored, he said. His words struck me like thunder. I wanted to argue, to beg him to stop it, but deep down, I knew he was right. For too long, the world had been built on lies, on systems designed to keep people in darkness, on structures meant to suppress the truth. Humanity had been enslaved, not just physically, but spiritually, trapped in an illusion that kept them from seeing who they truly were. This destruction was not an act of cruelty. It was a reckoning. The old world had to fall before a new one could rise. But then, beyond the devastation, I saw something else. In the midst of the rubble, after the dust had settled and the chaos had run its course, I saw people rising. They were not broken. They were not afraid. They were strong, their presence radiating with a power the world had long forgotten. I saw black men and women standing tall, their eyes filled with a deep, divine knowing. It was as if something had awakened inside them, something that had been buried under centuries of oppression and deception. I saw them leading, not through force, not through fear, but through wisdom and spiritual authority. They were guiding humanity towards something new, something greater. They were remembering who they truly were. And then, I saw the enemy moving in response. The forces that had worked for centuries to suppress this truth would not give up easily. I saw governments meeting behind closed doors, crafting new ways to maintain control. I saw media outlets flooding the world with distractions, twisting narratives to keep people divided, asleep, and blind to what was happening. I saw religious leaders, some of them people I had once trusted, denouncing this movement, warning their congregations that it was dangerous, heretical. The opposition would not come from one place, but from every system that had been built to keep the truth buried. The deception would grow stronger. Fear would be used as a weapon. They would use every tool at their disposal, laws, propaganda, economic pressures, to silence those who dared to speak. But they would fail, because once the truth is revealed, it cannot be hidden again. I turned to Jesus again, fear creeping into my voice. What do? I asked. How do I fight this? He looked at me, his expression unwavering, his voice steady and full of authority. Speak, he said. Warn them. Those who have ears to hear will listen. His words were both a command and a promise. I knew In that moment, that not everyone would believe. Many would reject the truth, clinging to their illusions because it was safer, easier. Some would fight against it with everything they had. But there would be others, those who were ready, those who had been waiting for something to stir within them, those who would recognize the truth the moment they heard it. And just like that, I was back. My eyes flew open, my body shaking, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The vision was over, but its weight remained heavy on my soul. I could still hear Jesus' words echoing in my mind. Speak, warn them. I knew what I had to do. This was no longer just about me. This was a message for the world. A choice was coming, one that every person would have to make. Would they cling to the old world, to the lies and the chains that had bound them for centuries? Or would they step into the truth, no matter the cost? The time is now. The veil is lifting. The battle is already here, and every soul must choose a side. I don't know how much longer I have before they try to silence me, before my words are erased, before my voice is drowned out, before the forces that have worked in the shadows for centuries decide that I have said too much. But if you are reading this, it means I'm still here. It means the truth is still reaching those who need to hear it. It means that despite everything they have done to stop me, I am still speaking. And now, I need you to listen. This is no longer just my story. It never was. This is your story. This is our story. This is the story of humanity waking up to a truth that has been buried, hidden, and distorted for generations. A truth that was meant to remain forgotten, locked away where no one could find it. But no matter how deep they tried to bury it, no matter how many lies they built to conceal it, the truth has a way of rising. And now, it is rising faster than they can control. Something is happening in the world. Maybe you have felt it, too. That strange restlessness. That feeling that something is shifting, that things are no longer as they were. Maybe you've noticed how the world seems to be spiraling into chaos, how fear is spreading like wildfire, how people seem more divided than ever before. Maybe you've sensed that there is something beneath the surface, something hidden, something waiting to be revealed. That is not your imagination. That is not paranoia. That is the veil beginning to lift. That is the great deception beginning to unravel. The world is waking up. And now, you have a choice. This is not just about hearing the truth. It's about what you do with it. Do you have the courage to face it? To question everything you thought you knew? To step into the unknown even when it is terrifying? Or will you turn away? Pretend you never saw this. Pretend you never felt that pull inside you. Pretend you are still asleep because it is easier than facing reality. Make no mistake, this choice will not be easy. If you choose to wake up, you will face resistance. They will tell you that you are crazy, that you are imagining things, that you are falling into conspiracy or delusion. They will use every tool they have, fear, distraction, manipulation, to pull you back into the illusion. They will use the media to flood your mind with meaningless noise. They will use religion to convince you that questioning is dangerous. They will use science to tell you that what you feel is impossible. They will use society to make you believe that if you stand for the truth, you will stand alone. But you will not be alone, because something greater is happening. A movement is rising. People who were once blind are beginning to see. Those who were once silent are beginning to speak. Those who were once lost are finding their way back to who they were always meant to be. The truth that was stolen is being restored. And those who tried to keep it hidden are terrified, because they know they are running out of time. They will fight. They will try to suppress this awakening with everything they have. They will create distractions, conflicts, crises, anything to keep people divided and afraid. They will attack those who speak out. They will spread lies to turn people against each other. They will do whatever it takes to keep the world from seeing what is right in front of them. But they cannot stop what has already begun. They cannot silence the truth forever. They cannot stop the awakening that is unfolding right now. But the question remains, where will you stand? Will you be one of those who wakes up, who steps into the light despite the fear, despite the consequences? Will you seek the truth no matter where it leads, even if it challenges everything you have ever believed? Will you be willing to let go of the lies that have kept you comfortable, to break free from the chains that you didn't even know were there? Will you rise, not just for yourself, but for those who are still trapped, still lost, still searching for something real? Or will you close your eyes and go back to sleep? Will you choose ignorance because it is easier, because it is safer, because the truth is too uncomfortable to bear? Will you stay in the darkness because the light feels too blinding, too overwhelming? The time is now, not tomorrow, not someday, not when you are ready. Now, because this moment will not wait for you. The world is shifting, and once the tide turns, there will be no going back. The choice you make now will determine which side of history you will stand on. Will you be part of the awakening, or will you be one of those who remained blind until it was too late? I cannot make this choice for you. I can only tell you what I have seen, what I have been shown, what I have been called to share. But if you are here, if you are reading these words, it is not by accident. You were meant to see this. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to wake up. So choose wisely. And once you do, help others wake up, too, because this battle is not won alone. And together, we will rise. Heavenly Father, the source of all truth and light, I come before you with an open heart, seeking wisdom, strength, and clarity. The world is shifting, and I feel the weight of the battle between light and darkness. But I know that you have not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Lord, awaken my soul. Remove the veil that has kept me blind. Reveal to me the truth that has been hidden, and give me the courage to accept it, no matter how difficult it may be. Let your Spirit guide me, that I may discern what is real from what is false, what is divine from what is deception. I pray for those who are still asleep, for those who are lost in the illusions of this world. Break their chains. Lord, open their eyes. Let the fire of truth ignite within them so that they may rise and walk in their divine purpose. Let no fear, no doubt, no force of darkness keep them bound any longer. I rebuke every lie, every deception, every attempt of the enemy to silence the truth. I stand in faith, knowing that your will is unfolding, that no power in heaven or on earth can stop what you have set in motion. Strengthen me, Lord, that I may stand firm in this time of awakening, that I may be a vessel for your truth, and that I may help lead others into the light. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done. Let the warriors of truth arise. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. Amen. The world is changing. The truth that has been hidden for generations is rising to the surface, and every soul must make a choice. This is not just another moment in history. This is the shift, the great unveiling, the moment when the veil is lifted, and everything that was once concealed is revealed. You can feel it, can't you? That stirring deep inside, that unshakable sense that something isn't right. The world around you is built on illusions, systems designed to keep you blind, to keep you distracted, to keep you in fear. But now, the cracks are forming, and light is breaking through. Now, you must decide. Will you stand for truth, no matter the cost? Will you open your eyes, even if it means questioning everything you once believed? Will you reclaim your divine identity, step into your power, and embrace the destiny that was meant for you? Or will you choose to remain asleep, to cling to the comfort of deception, to let fear and doubt hold you captive? The time is now. The battle has already begun. The awakening is happening, and you were chosen to be part of it. Stand up, speak out, rise, because once you wake up, there is no going back. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing these powerful stories and creating a space for open, heartfelt conversations. Click the notification bell so you're always updated when we post new content. Together, let's explore the unseen, celebrate the miraculous, and inspire one another to live with love, faith, and wonder